What up folks, welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Right, tonight I'm just going to answer something that is one of these situations we get now and again where I get several requests for the same thing. We don't normally do videos to order, purely because there's too many, and too many of you asking to make videos for us to do it, and often we haven't got what it is that you're asking. People will come out and ask something on a bike we haven't got, so we can't help, but we don't often get the time to make videos to order anymore. We try and give the advice as where possible, but this particular thing keeps coming up, and if it's something I can do in a video log, then I'm happy to do it. So here it is. This one in particular is coming from the new riders. You new blokes and you new girls who just passed your test, or you're on your 125s, you're going through your mod 2 and you're getting yourselves on the road, and you want to know how or what it is you can do to safely buy a used bike from a private buyer, not the dealer. Now the reason for this is that hard times, and a lot of the younger riders haven't got a massive amount of money. They may only have £500 or £600, £1,000 tops to spend on their bike. They haven't got the money to go to a dealership. Not many dealers will sell much under about £1,500. They just don't. And when you get to that level at a dealer, even £1,500, you're looking at their trade-in stuff, and you kind of don't get the service, and it's a bit of a worry. So these people end up in the private market, and their concern is that they're going to buy something that is a melon, and it's not going to be what they thought it was, and they're going to waste their money. So we're getting asked that question: how do you buy a bike from a private dealer? Shouldn't be hard to do. So this is it. Stick around, stay tuned. I'll give you some basic insight onto what to look for, and hopefully it'll set you on the right path. Right? See you in a minute. Okay, now the first thing, imagine you're doing this privately. You're going to go to the private market. You're going to find yourself something out there in the paper, on eBay, on Craigslist, on Gumtree, on Motorcycle News, on Auto Trader, any one of those different forums that you can go on and look at stuff for sale, and it is a bit of a minefield. So the first thing I would suggest anyone does is get some stock. If you went to a dealer, you'd go and look at all their bikes. In fact, you'd do more than that. You'd go and look at all the shops and all their bikes, and you'd give yourself some insight as to what you want. You'd look for some inspiration. So that's what you do first. Get yourself some inspiration. Get on all those forums. Get on eBay, get on MCN, get on Auto Trader, get on Gumtree, and find yourself a dozen, 2 dozen if you can, and print them all off. Don't look at them on the net, because you're looking at 2 different things at once. You shut one down, look at the other, it gets confusing. Print them all off, lay them all out on the table, and give them all marks out of 10 if necessary. And that's where the first little job starts. Just cross them off. Shortlist them. Shortlist down to about 2 or 3 absolute favourites. They've got to be within range. You can go and get them. You can go and look at them and walk away again and not feel you've had a day out doing 400 miles for no reason. You've also got to be able to afford it. It's got to be within your budget. It's got to be something you can ride away without massive further expense. It doesn't want to be something that, a project that needs finishing. That's no bloody use to anyone, is it? It's got to be a bike you can ride away on, and it's got to be something that you can insure. So look at the bikes you're looking at, think, I like that, can I insure it? Give your insurance company a ring. How much will it cost to insure this R1? Oh, I see, thank you. I'm only 17, maybe I'll think a bit lower next time. So you've got to work it out that the 2-3 bikes you shortlist end up being feasible purchases that you can live with right away and be happy at the end of the equation, because you're going to spend a little bit of money on this. The next thing to do, once you've got your shortlist, is to HPI check them. Now, you may have heard of HPI, you may not. HPI is very simple, it's a bureau, the Hire Purchase Information Bureau. Not just for the dealers, they're not just for the professionals, they are for you and me. All you've got to do is contact them on the net. If you just Google HPI, the Hire Purchase Information is the first thing of the 3 things they'll do for you. Hire purchase, they'll tell you if that bike is on hire purchase. A bike's okay if it's on finance. If it's on a loan, personal loan type finance, that's absolutely okay. But if it's on hire purchase, it doesn't belong to the person who's riding it and offering it for sale. They may assume that they can sell it, but that's not necessarily true. Many people are not aware that the bikes they've got, they jolly well should be, but they're not aware because they might have got it from a dealer, the dealer set them up with a finance, they're paying the payments, they decided to flog it, keep their money, and then go and buy something else. Now this may not happen in the £500 or £600 bikes because you don't really have them on finance, but they may have had that bike at £2,000, ridden it for 2 years on a 3-year loan and still have a year left to pay, and it's a bit of a shed now, so they're flogging it off cheap and thinking they can keep the change. They can't. Remember, that bike can be repossessed if those payments aren't made, and you're trusting that person to make them. If you find out from HPI it's on hire purchase, just walk away from it. It's not his to sell. He's actually committing a minor offence in flogging it without telling them. Even if he tells them he's got to get a settlement figure, and when the money's handed over, it's okay to buy it. Dealers do it. When I was working in the bike shop, we bought bikes all the time on hire purchase. but we gave the dealer, we didn't give the money to the owner of the bike or the keeper, we gave it to the hire purchase company. We paid them off. We settled their finance and we kept the bike. And you're not really going to get involved in that as a private buyer, so just walk away from it. The second thing that HPI do is a damage report. They'll tell you if that bike's been the subject of an insurance claim. They'll give you category, well it is category A to D. A and B you won't get involved in, those bikes are destroyed. C and D, on the other hand, they're okay. There's nothing wrong with a category C or D bike. They're okay. They've been repaired by the time they're for sale. So a category C bike basically is something that was damaged. It might have been biffed into a wall and bent the forks. It's had a new set of forks fitted. It's fine. Category D is even better. That's just something that fell over in the driveway, scratched the plastics. The guy couldn't afford it. He put it through his insurance. Now, be aware. The crash register, as it gets nicknamed, doesn't tell you anything about whether that bike's been in an accident or not. That has nothing to do with it. It simply tells you whether it's been the subject of an insurance claim. So don't be confused and thinking that when they say there's nothing showing on the crash or insurance write-off register that it hasn't been written off. That could have been damaged beyond all belief and then put back together badly. So you still need to physically check the bike, and come to that in a minute. The third and final thing they do is an unusual thing. It's a National Mileage Register check. They call it the NMR. Now the National Mileage Register is what it says. Every time someone checks a bike on HPI, and it's done a lot more than you think, I reckon on something like 1 in 5 bikes gets checked every day, somewhere. People will often follow a bike, they'll go and look at a bike, just log the number down, the reg number, go and HPI it. You can HPI your neighbour's bike and he doesn't even know. That's perfectly legal because you're checking out that bike for your personal reasons. Now the National Mileage Register works on this basis. They will ask you what's the mileage on the bike. You'll say it shows 12,000. They'll say that's fine. It was checked last year, it shows 8,000 last year. 8,000 last year, 12 this year, it's all good. But if you say it shows 12,000 and they say, well actually this bike was checked last year and it was showing 18,000 and now it's showing 12, you just walk away, don't you? So those 3 pieces of information, you buy those pieces of information, you pay for them. They come from you pay a fee for your HPI check and they indemnify that information for you. So if it turns out to be wrong, they'll pay you out, simple as that. And they give you different levels of indemnity, so you'll get if you're looking at a £1,500 bike or a £500 bike or a £5,000 bike, you can ask for an indemnity level on that info and they'll give it to you, and the fee you pay them for that info will be a bit different. So that's HPI covered. I'm not going to do too much out. I'm going to sell HPI to you. That's the thing. Do an HPI check. That's what a dealer does when he buys a bike, because if he sells that bike and it turns out to be a banana, then he can break the law and he will be prosecuted. So it's him looking after his backside. Okay, so HPI protects you too. The next thing is once you've HPI'd it, you've got your 2 bikes, you've HPI'd them both, go and look at them. Even if they're on eBay and they're 50 miles away and it's a load of grief and it's raining and the sale ends in 3 days, don't worry about it. You're spending all your money. What's your matter? Get out there and have a look at it. Get your boots on, get over there, talk to the person on the phone, communicate. Penny told me, she reminded me to importantly include this in it. Communicate with the owner, talk to them on the phone, make them feel at ease. Remember, this is something else. If you've ever sold something, isn't it always a worry that some bastard's going to turn up and steal it? You know, there is an element of concern. So give that person some feeling of well-being. Tell them you're okay, look, this is me, I'm check out, this is my phone number, give me a ring back if you want to, I'll come and see the bike, I'll come with my wife, I'll bring my kid with me. Make them feel at ease, because they'll treat you with more respect as a buyer, and being taken seriously as a buyer, that's a great benefit when it comes to the haggling process, believe me. And that's not a big issue, just it gets you trust and it gets you respect, and we all want that. So when you look at the bike, this is the biggest part now. I want to give you some basic pointers to what to look at. You shortlisted your bike, you know it's a goer, you know you can own it. You've HPI'd it, you know it's a good bike. You just want to make sure that it is what it says on the tin. So here's the next stage. Stick around, stay tuned, I'll show you what to look for, some basics on the bike. Okay, the next thing is to look the bike over. You've arrived at the guy's house. I would warn you at this point, don't take the Wongo with you. Don't turn up with a wad in your pocket ready to take it away. Okay, if it's 500 miles away, then you have no choice. But if it's only up the road, 50 miles, 60 miles away, go with a £50 deposit. Because honestly, you don't get tempted. And you're not sure. When you go there, you've got your trousers down, you're ready to do the deal, the guy might be a bit of a salesman, you could find yourself making a bad decision. So just go there to look at it, that's all you're doing. And if it's on an auction, you can come home and bid in your own peace of mind. If it's a classified ad, you can go home, think about it overnight, buy it the next day if you want to. But here's your looky stuff. Now, if you're buying a cheap bike, something from eBay. This is focused at you new riders who've been asking this question. Something for £5 to £900, then you are looking at something with a bit of mileage. And there's something good about that, because you are looking for wear and tear. And what I mean by that is you are looking for wear and tear. You're not looking for a lack of it, you're looking for presence of wear and tear. Little things like the tyres and chains and sprockets, they're peripheral stuff, they wear all the time. You're looking for the long-term stuff that lasts the life of the bike. Work on this basis, okay? A motorcycle, on average, a big 1 litre engine bike, a 600cc bike, a proper full-size motorcycle that is, they will last, on average, I would guess around, with my experience, I would say about 85,000 miles. 80 to 85, maybe 90,000 tops, and that's it. Before then, most bikes are, by that time, most bikes have had it. So something with 35 and 40,000 miles should be roughly just over halfway through its life. So what we're looking for is the brake discs that will wear out if they're abused, but if they're not abused, they'll last the life of the bike. Now, I'm going to show you something on the Bandit, and that is the discs. I'm going to show you down here. Now these discs, or this disc, I'm only got one on the front of the Bandit now, that's got no grooves in it, but it has got some wear, and the difference is this part that's never been touched by the pads and this part that has. Sometimes you'll get deep grooves. On this there's none, because these discs have been treated well for many years, but a badly treated disc will have grooves in it. A disc that's been run on the pads, if the pads have been run on the metal, it will put scores in the disc, so you'll see if the person's maintenance has been a bit iffy. If the disc is all blue and scorch coloured and overheated, you can see they break really hard, really late, which indicates someone who rides erratically. You may not wish to buy that bike. The other side of it is, as I said, this bit here, you can see this lip on the edge. This bit on the edge doesn't get touched, this last millimetre doesn't get touched by the pads. If you've got a big step there and a big step here, the disc's worn. Pair of discs, about £300 or more. So beware of the discs, because they are very expensive on a bike. The chain and sprockets, that will last, on the average motorcycle, probably about 25 to 30,000 miles if it's repaired and looked nicely. So if you've got a 30,000 mile bike and it's got its original factory chain, that's the right mileage, isn't it? If you've got a bike with 10,000 miles on and it's on its second chain and sprockets, why is that? Why has he changed it? Some people are snobs. They might say, I don't like the standard chain and sprockets, I wanted a DIG Regina Gold. Fine, no problem, as long as you know. It's all about knowledge. Knowledge is power. Other little things like this, I love this, this is one of my favourites. On the back of the levers, with all that pulling in of the lever, with all that lever pumping for 30,000 miles, that's going to get polished on the back. And you're looking for damage on the back here, on the little ball where it might have fallen over or rubbed against the wall. Other things you're looking for, there's crash damage. Come down here on Penny's bike. This is a particular one. Now scuffs on the outside here, I had to take Penny's peg blobs off because she scuffs them a lot because the bike's quite low. If you get a little scuff here, that's not the end of the world. But if you get a scuff here on the knuckle, that thing's fallen over. Quite simply, fallen over. If also you come up to the levers, if you've got a lever one side that's worn and is nicely planished, or what's the word? Patinaed. Has a lovely patina because it's done 30,000 miles, but the lever on this side is immaculate. And he's got a scuff down here, and the rest of the bike looks immaculate. You've already started to uncover evidence, haven't you, that that bike's fallen over. Be a detective. That's the point. You're spending your hard-earned wonga, so don't just throw it away. Think about it. Go over the bike. This guy's going to look at you, looking around his bike, and going to realise very quickly, this guy knows his stuff. He's actually looking at proper things. Foot peg rubbers are another one. If you've got a bike that's got 5,000 miles, the foot peg rubbers should be virtually immaculate because they will last the life of the bike. But if they're all worn out and worn through, and the bike's only done 10,000 miles, what's going on? Has it done 10, or is it the second time it's done 10? Or is it he's done 50 and he's put a new speedo? Remember, the one thing with bikes is you can unbolt the speedo, chuck it over your shoulder and bolt on one out the breakers that's done half the mileage, and there is no way of telling. So only the telltale stuff on the bike is what you're looking for. That evidence of things. It's damage. Look at the screws and the nuts, the bolts, the fasteners. You're looking for signs that it's been serviced. Get underneath and look at the sump plug. Get up underneath it and have a look. If the sump plug has got mince marks on it where it's all chewed, or perhaps there's loads of, what's the word, Belzona, that metal filler stuff around the sump, it's been worked on by a monkey, and probably you're going to have a world of hurt when you come to work on it. Other thing is chewed fasteners. People who haven't got the right size tools will chew up fasteners because they haven't got the right size tools or the bother to get them. So there you are. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't buy it, just be aware of it. Simple as that. Now, if you're not sure, this is the next point I wanted to make. You can go over the bike, you can get an MOT. Your MOT test certificate now comes with the last 3 years mileage, so you can go over that as well. That as well as your HPI check, which should give you the mileage register. The other thing is, if you're not comfortable with it, you've been over the bike, you're still not happy, you think there's evidence of this and that, but you really want to own it. It's the only one for you. What about going to somewhere like the RAC or the AA and asking them if they do a vehicle inspection for you? Now, you pay a fee for this. It's not cheap. It might come to £100, and you might only have, say, £700-800 to spend. But think of it this way. If you spend sort of £100 on an inspection, and the guy says when he's finished his inspection, because this will be a proper professional motorcycle engineer who will come do the job, he'll be someone working for one of the big motoring rescue agencies. If they come along and say, I'm sorry sir, this used to be a transit van, or that chassis number doesn't add up, this is not a proper bike, you walk away. Now the £100, have you wasted it? Not really, have you? Because you've walked away from a melon, which is what you want to do. If on the other hand, he says, this is a great bike sir, I'd buy it, then you buy the bike. And is it a waste of money? No, because you know you bought the right bike. You've got that peace of mind. When you ride up the road, it makes you happy. So there's the right side of it. Also, they'll do more detailed things, like they'll go over the bike front to back, they'll check the tyres, the chain sprockets, they'll tell you roughly how long they've got to live, those consumable parts that is, and what they might cost to replace. So they can give you kind of almost an estimate on what it's going to cost to live with for the first year. For instance, you might say, back tyres about 4/5 done, that's going to be 115 quid, 120 quid. Chain and sprockets is okay, you're going to get a good 2,500-3,000 miles out of that. So for the next year, this bike's not going to cost you anything. But after that, you're going to have about £500 to spend. And that's your information. You bought that information, so you can spend it wisely by making a decision to buy the bike or not. So here we go. That roughly gives you where it is. It's your decision, it's your hard-earned money. And again, as my Penny camera girl reminded me earlier, when we bought Penny's bike, which was considerably more than £1,000, we did all those things. It doesn't matter whether you're buying a £500 banger or a £50,000 supercar or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. It's the same procedure. Get yourself a short list. HPI the ones you really want to go and see them. If you don't know your onions, take an onion looker with you so that they can give you a proper, bona fide, guaranteed and indemnified opinion on the bike. And then if you like it, buy it. If you don't. Remember, there's always a bike out there. Final thing is handing over cash. Usually you're okay. If you've been to the person's house, you probably would have met their family at some point. You got to trust that, haven't you? When we bought Penny's bike, the guy was a fire service, or he was a fireman, wasn't he? We met around his house, we met his family. You can trust someone when you've done that. They've invited you to the house. If the guy says, no, meet me down the road in the services, they've got the bike in a van, you might want to make a different decision. So there we go. That's what I think. You can do it whatever way you want. I know there's going to be loads of comments saying you should do this, do that, do the other. There's a million things you can do to save yourself. But I would say, as a final parting word, if you're not sure, walk away. Honestly, there's a million bikes out there. Sleep on it. The guy might phone you up and explain himself. When we bought the Hayabusa, I phoned the guy up and he just didn't want us to go and see it. He said, no, it's down in the lock-up, mate. I'm not really sure. I don't really like to get it out in the rain and it's in the lock-up and I can't be bothered. I told him to FRO. And it was 3 days later, Penny phoned him up and came in, what for? She read him his horoscope down the phone and said, look, we're proper people, you know. Check us out on YouTube. And he did. And he went, oh, right. Oh, come on over then. So letting that person who's selling that bike know a bit about you. Tell them a bit about yourself, what your situation is. Build a little bit of trust and some respect. So there it is. Thanks for tuning in and watching Delboy's Garage. That's just a little bit of insight. That's all it is. You can do with it what you like on how to buy a used bike from a private individual. Okay, take it easy, ride safe. Good luck with it. I'll see you next time.